Hello, the Real Stuff Show, and now we have with us Rei Mesa.
Hey, Ray, welcome, my friend.
Hey, good morning. I think it's still morning, isn't it?
It is still morning, guys. You can still say that for a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
You're good.
So he is the president and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway Home Service for Florida Realty, right?
That is correct, yes.
That's amazing, man. Can you tell us a little bit what you do here? What is your...
Yeah, sure. So I'm responsible for the operations of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty. We have operations all over Florida. We start up in Gainesville and come down on the East Coast all the way down to Miami. From Marco Island on the West Coast of Florida up to Tampa, Orlando. We're also in the mortgage business with our Prosperity Home Mortgage Company. Florida Title and Guarantee Agency is our title company. Home Services Insurance is our property insurance company. And we have a home warranty company as well. So
That's
we
great.
are
I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend a little bit more, I think.
Basically, what Ray's saying is he has a very small operation. I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, we're about 1,600 sales professionals with 30 plus offices
That's
throughout
amazing.
Florida.
That's good to have you here so you can share a little bit this,
Sure.
this experience and knowledge.
Ray, how involved are you at your level with sort of, what's going on with sort of the day-to-day real estate challenges that we've endured through COVID, and then kind of what we're getting into this sort of like what I call maybe like a mixed market?
Yeah, well, great question. Thanks. So I have a great team of people that are dealing with the day-to-day operations every day. I'm very fortunate that I have a great team that deals with that. But I will tell you from my perspective and from the area that I get to get involved, and I get to hear everything and I get to see almost everything. COVID was really a gift to the real estate industry and to the real estate market. It created a market and a need for housing and shelter that became important. It reminds me a little bit of 9/11 and what we experienced then when people weren't traveling and they were buying real estate and they were upgrading real estate because they were staying put. So COVID did kind of that as well at a much larger scale to our markets. The current market that we're in right now, I wouldn't say it's a mixed market. I think it's a shifting market.
Love that word.
We went from a very exuberant seller control market where property came on the market and you had 50 people bidding for that property. That's not normal. That was an outlier to the industry. This is a long-term investment. It always has been, and it's a great long-term investment. It became a real quick, let's buy whatever's inside because we need shelter. And quite frankly, Florida and the way Florida handled COVID, and because of our climate and our weather, we were able to stay open. Real estate became essential. We became an essential service. So we continue to transact. And I think that attracted a lot of buyers and consumers from other parts of the country.
So from what I understand what you're saying is, you're looking at this at 30,000 feet and you're kind of delineating this kind of information to your key people in different areas of Florida. Is that
That's correct.
Yeah.
So my job, if you will, or my role is to kind of look what's coming down the pike and what's coming around the corner, so I can be, however I can be proactive in decisions we're making at the local level and decisions we're making in the company. And I do look at other industries. I just don't look at the real estate industry. So I looked at the automobile industry and what happened there when COVID hit. They're in the manufacturing business, so everything came to a complete stop. Our construction and new home sales also were quite impacted in the country. Florida, again, because we became essential and we stayed open. And again, our climate and our weather helps with that. We were able to continue, continue to build homes and continue to move forward. But yeah, it's my role is to make sure that I am hopefully one step ahead of what's coming around. And I've been in the business now more than 40 years. Amazing. I started when I was 18 years old, just in case you guys are doing the math. But it's a cyclical business. Real estate is, and then you take some outlier years. We had the 2008 downturn in the market because of the collapse of the financial markets. That was an outlier, what happened there. And now with COVID, that was an outlier as well. That was just not sustainable. I'm happy that I was able, I'm glad that I was able with very smart people say, hey, this is not going to last forever. And we made some great decisions during that peak and how we operate our company and the expenses we took on that are paying off now that the market has been a little bit more normalized. If you
Let me ask you something, because you are in a very strategic level, like you are a visionary of your teams and stuff. What is the element right now that people are not seeing coming and that you're gonna, tell everybody to make a little?
So I
don't just share all the secrets, but tell us.
Share all the secrets, Ray.
What's great about our industry is that we compete and we're friends. Duff, who was just here with you guys, is a personal friend of mine, and we compete every day. and we go at it. And you're with KW, right? And we compete every day, but we're still friends, and we do share ideas. I would tell you that I do strongly believe that the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. And the second best time to plant a tree is right now. So if home buyers are listening, potential buyers are listening, go buy real estate. Because 20 years from now, you're going to be very happy that you bought real estate today. Now, one of the things that we are sharing, one of the things we're seeing, I think we're getting back to some traditional business in real estate. We're encouraging our sellers to maybe help the buyer buy down the interest rate. So instead of lowering your price by X, why don't we offer the buyer X number of dollars so that they can buy the interest rate down? We're also educating our sales professionals to share with the sellers, your home must be like a model home today if you want to get it sold. Okay. A year ago, you threw anything up in the air and it got sold today. It's got to show great.
One of the things I've heard you said this last year at Rock the Market, but I've always heard you speak on the broker side, and you said date the rate. And
marry the home and date the rate. I'm sure I picked that up from someone else, so I'm not taking credit for it.
It's not trademarked. It's not trademarked.
Well, you're the first one on the panel to say it, so it definitely stuck.
Yeah, I always say creativity is the ability to hide the source. So I'll take credit. But we were saying, the property rates change, and you can always refinance in the future, right? Yeah. So, marry the property and date the rate, and then you can refinance, but you have to buy real estate.
Yeah. And what is the biggest mistake you see people doing right now in real estate?
I believe from a realtor standpoint is waiting for things to get better. Okay. And when you do that, they're not going to get better for you.
And what do you think, guys, in terms of the investor side of it, like the home buyer or the investor side? What do you think is the biggest mistake?
There has been some challenges in the news, as people are making a little bit of an issue with challenges with Airbnbs and VRBOs right now from a municipality state level, where they're putting restrictions on the abilities to people to actually make higher income levels from an investor standpoint. And I know Augusto, being an investor as well too, he's struggled with that a little bit. Is this the time to get into the market? Is it not the right time just yet?
I would have to agree with Ray on this. Is the right time to plant is either 30 years ago or right now, where people get in trouble, and I'm sure you're chiming on this, is I think people get in trouble where they're basing it off the Airbnb numbers and not basing it off if the mortgage is $3,000 and I could rent it at $3,500. So their numbers, that's where the real investors know what they're doing. So I think that's important, and that's where also what he says about the rate, that's important, because if you can hold off from these changes, you're going to get a better return as it goes. So from an investor standpoint, the best advice I got when I got into this business early on as a young guy, I fell in love with my wife and the business her parents were in, which is real estate, and that's how I got into business. But the best advice my in-laws gave me was, you're going to make money selling real estate for others, but if you want to retire wealthy, buy for yourself. And I listened to that and I follow that. But every one of my rental investments, none of them are on Airbnb or any of those things. It's long-term, annual rentals with annual tenants that are going to be there. I've got tenants that have been in the property for 10 years. So that's been my business investment model. It's long-term, not quick, not short. I'm not highly leveraged, so every one of those properties do generate profits every year. So again, I always say, if you're going to be an investor, make sure that you don't need that payment every month to make your mortgage and your interest and your taxes and your maintenance fees payment, because then you're going to be in trouble, right? Make sure you got enough reserves that property can go empty for a couple of months.
That's great advice.
And not be hurt by it.
It's great advice.
And think long term. Think long term.
I'd like to stir the pot a little bit if I can, because what we've had here was we had a broker before, now running really the operational standpoint of Coldwell Banker, and we've got a mega broker, and now running the entire operational program for Brookshire. So what I want to know is, what does Brookshire have going on right now that you're trying to do to differentiate yourself from other really names in the market? Because at the end of the day, as you see, you're going to see some of these industries people weeding themselves out, and survival of the fittest when we're in a sort of a market that we're in right now. What are you doing to kind of separate yourself up and keep that retention? I guess that's an important part.
So it begins and it ends always with our people. It's hiring the best people who really care, who are dedicated to the business. Our branch managers in our offices, our branch administrative assistants, our branch reception, we call them the air traffic controllers of the office because all the calls come in there and then they control that. But it's the people. It's number one and first and foremost, it's investing in the people that are providing the support for your sales professionals. Then it's attracting those sales professionals that look at this as a career and a business and not a hobby. So we're really focused on attracting folks that are going to look to be in real estate today, tomorrow, and 15 years from now. Once again, we believe we have the best brand. It's a brand that stands for integrity. It's a brand that's financially very stable, Berkshire Hathaway. We do believe, obviously, that our people are the main component. And so the reason our sales professionals come and stay is because the people that get to work
Feels
with
like a very
day.
family environment, I think, at Berkshire.
We run a business.
Yeah.
We run a business,
Yeah.
but we treat each other with a lot of respect. We treat each other with care. We want to make sure everybody's successful in our organizations because there's something I learned a long time ago. If the people that are working with you are not successful and they're not living up to their highest dreams, then they're not going to be with you. They're going to go somewhere else to do that.
Awesome.
So you have to provide that kind of an environment.
Great advice from a good leader right there.
Because you talk so many times about people, and I think it's extremely important for you.
Yep.
Give me the name of a book that inspire you or any influence
I
you
can give
to.
you a lot of books, but
Ah.
one of them
The one.
would be Good to Great.
Okay.
That's one of those books that I've read several times. The Greatest Salesman by Oggi Medina. That was an awesome book that I read when I was 19.
Are you writing this stuff down? Because I'm not.
But
We're gonna put the book there.
All right.
Well,
in the
I'll send you the library.
Yes.
We got a whole library. And by the way,
Yeah.
we share this with our sales professionals
That's
and our
amazing.
team players. We share books that they should read because they're not only inspirational, but I think you get to learn a lot when you read biographies.
Yeah.
Now I'm into reading biographies.
Yeah.
I think you get to learn a lot. But, we truly believe that you got to have a cadence of accountability with everybody you work with, and that's our focus. And when you're held accountable by a peer or someone else, you're going to do better.
Yeah.
You're going to strive to do better because you're being held accountable. So
That's great.
Okay, guys.
Awesome.
So
Ray,
we
thank
have
you so
Rei
much, man.
Mesa here with us.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.